Hi, it's me, Ingrid INFP, and I'm taking the last minutes of sunlight to talk to you guys. So it will probably get dark while I'm doing this video. But I wanted to do this video in front of a tree and not in the cold. It's actually pretty warm at 2 degrees out here today. It's been like -10, so this seems like summer. It's not, but I did a poll about Miyazaki Studio Ghibli or Ghibli, I don't know, films. And I was thinking, like, as an INFP channel, shouldn't I be talking about Studio Ghibli more? You know, if you don't know what Studio Ghibli is, if you don't know who Miyazaki is, please look it up. If you're an INFP, you'll love the movies. It's a Japanese animation film, and they're beautiful, and they are such tales of imagination, of fantasy, but also of great and deep emotion. And Miyazaki is an INFP, so he knows how to do things the INFP way, make life interesting. In his, whenever I watch a Disney movie, I'm like, okay, like, wow, that was fun, but like then real life kind of seems drab, but that's it. When I see a Miyazaki movie, I'm always like, oh yes, I'm going to go to my kitchen and I will cut some vegetables, because that is the true, like, the labor of cooking is like beautiful, and the way that we can get free, like, fruit and vegetables from the earth is beautiful, and like friendship and kindness and there are so many things that are really amazing about the world, and seeing a Miyazaki or a Studio Ghibli movie really reminds me of these things. And also they're beautiful to look at. And I learned a little bit of Japanese. I've also watched some Japanese anime movies. Not anime, animation movies, because they're not like coupled to a manga. That's what I mean as animation, but maybe that's not the right word. I've watched other studios. I don't know what these studios are, but Wolf Children was somebody who recommended, which I really recommend as well. I also recommend The Garden of Words. I recommend Your Name, Weathering with You, 5 centimeters per second. There's probably some other one that I've forgotten. But those are also great. But they're not Studio Ghibli. So Studio Ghibli is much more constructed, and it's much more of a big production kind of thing. And they're made for children, but also for adults. So my personal favorite is Spirited Away. I know it's the most famous, but it is the best. So, but I know that especially in the US, most people say that their favorite is Howl's Moving Castle. So seeing that 50% of you guys say that that's your favorite Miyazaki film did not really surprise me. But I am so confused by that movie. It's really fun seeing all of the weird things happening and stuff. But I just found it very pretty. The movie is extremely aesthetic. especially there's a certain scene where like they end up in a huge meadow that's surrounded by clouds, and it's a dream. Basically, it's so pretty, and with the moving castle, that's also like really magnificent. You know, it's fantastical and story like the whole thing. Um, and the characters are pretty funny sometimes. Um, but I don't get the sense of like mysteriousness that I get in Spirited Away or Princess Mononoke. Um, I I also like My Neighbor Totoro. I like Kiki's delivery service. Um, what other ones have I seen? The Grave of the Fireflies is an extremely tragic one, and so I've seen it once, and I'll never see it again because, like, the emotional toll that that took on me was crazy. What else? I'm also looking at the camera to see if I see my little friend here in the background, but he seems to come at night, so you probably won't see him. I call him my friend a hare, but he's not my friend, but he's the one who does all of these tracks in the snow, if you can see. Like, he leaves all the tracks at daytime, so you know that he's been going crazy all night. I mean, yes, a lot of the tracks are people, but some of the tracks are definitely not people tracks, and not dog tracks either. Um, I don't know. He goes and parties there at night. Um, but so okay, let's see what other ones are there. And The Spirited Away, my favorite. Um, Princess Mononoke is also one of my favorites, though. Um, I didn't understand it at first when I watched it as a child, um, but the forgiving nature, it's just, you know, the endings are never really clear cut, and some of these Miyazaki movies aren't very clear cut. Somehow, Kiki's Delivery Service is pretty clear cut ending, but in some of them, it's just like, oh, was this all a dream? You know? Or I like Ponyo. Um, I like that he portrays a lot of female characters who are strong and determined, and that they'll do anything for their sisters, their friends. Um, you know, um, there are certain archetypes within the Miyazaki movies. Um, they might be Japanese archetypes or manga. I don't really watch manga. I know my brother is really into manga. He's really into Attack on Titan. He's really into what else? He's into Hunter x Hunter. He's into I mean, I don't know the names of all the things that he's reading. He reads the mangas and he watches the mangas. This is different than mangas. Not to diss on mangas, I'm just saying that it's kind of a different world, you know, and I've gotten into Miyazaki world, but I'm not really into the this other world, you know. Or there are many different genres of manga, which I'm not the expert to talk about on this, it's my brother. Yeah. I don't know if my brother will ever come on this channel. He doesn't know that I have a channel. And I think that my brother is like an INTP or something. But Miyazaki is an INFP, and I think that a lot of INFPs, whether you have watched Miyazaki or not, would love his films. Let me turn the light on. Okay, that did not do much difference. but so you can see another quarter of my face maybe. um, what is it that makes it so beautiful? I don't know. The drawings are made to perfection. The world building is so strange, and it's like the old fairy tales, you know? But they're Japanese fairy tales, so they're even more mysterious and less, you know, understandable for a Western audience. Um, I think that that's how they view in Japan the way that they view the spirits of the forest and such. I think that in the West we've lost well, there were other associations with the forest, but the fairy and elf thing has kind of lost its trickster connotation that they would have when they were first, like the pagans used to believe that, you know, the fae were tricksters and such. I think that with time the world, like, people's imaginations have changed, like the cultural, I don't know what I would call it, like the zeitgeist, the um, collective unconscious or whatever has changed with time. Like, we're not in that era anymore. Um, but it seems like it was different in Japan. They have another culture towards these spirits. Um, Maybe it has to do with Christianity, having Christianity kind of erase a lot of the ancient cultures. Um, Christianity pushing certain values of like forgiveness and that kind of thing, which isn't bad, but has changed things. But to Miyazaki, he he has a special fascination with airplanes, and he has a fascination with the West. So he'll have often European characters, um, but and I don't know if that attracts the Japanese audience. But I think that what's interests me is rather oh sorry is rather the mysterious forests. And oh, I also like Laputa Castle in the Sky. Unfortunately, it has that name, which Laputa in certain languages uh, does not have a good meaning. um, but I like that they have like this robot who's like taking care of the world after the end of people, and kind of like Wally, you know, he's always like everything is overgrown with plants after the people have left, and he's trying to reconstruct nature and such. Um, and also the main characters are very courageous and strong, and you know. But okay, um, I can't come up with any other. The Wind Rises is also a really good one. I mean, basically all of them are good. I'm just listing all the films I know. From a Poppy Hill, Whispers of the Heart, Only Yesterday. Um, they're all good in their own way. Um, they're very wholesome films, lovely films. Yeah, I think that there are maybe only a few that I haven't watched. Um, like I haven't. When I was little, I watched Pompoko, but I haven't watched it since then. I haven't watched Porco Rosso, and I haven't watched The Cat Returns, um, or The Tales of Earthsea. Otherwise, I think I've seen every single one of the Miyazaki movies. So that is quite a feat, you could say. But and My Neighbor Totoro is like the one I first watched when I was small, and it's very cute and lovely. Um, but it also makes you think a little bit, all these movies. But so why do I like Spirited Away as my favorite movie? I think I relate a lot to Chihiro, the main character. Um, I don't know if she's an INFP. Some people argue that she's an ENFP. Some people argue that she's an ISFP. I think that she's an INFP. Either that or she's a really like cautious ENFP. But at first she's in a car and she's going to move to a new place and she's kind of whiny and she's like, oh, why do I have to move? And being kind of a little brat, a little bit ungrateful of the move, but also, moves are stressful. I don't like it. And also, leaving your friends behind is sad. So, yeah. Oh, God, I wish that you guys could see the sunset. Let's see. Okay. There we go. So I wish that, yeah. So Chihiro is in the car and then she goes to a place with her parents. I don't know how old she's supposed to be, but she comes to this like old abandoned train station. And then from the train station, which is a liminal space, which I love, absolutely love. And then she comes out to the other side and they end up like in some abandoned village place. But then they realize, oh, well, there's a lot of food. So there must be people nearby. And then like Chihiro as a child kind of like senses that something is wrong. But her parents, they're kind of obnoxious. And so they go and they eat the food. And Chihiro kind of wanders off and she realizes that like there aren't any people here, but there are tons of spirits. There are like scary shadows. And she's like, and then she runs back to her parents. And then her parents turn around and she finds out that they've been transformed into pigs. And she's horrified. And then she finds out that she's entered the spirit world. Like they've stayed too long. And what was like the train station, it was a bathhouse, and like the whole world transforms once night starts falling. And then she meets a guy called Haku, and they cross. Well, basically, he has to hide the fact that she's a human, because humans are not welcome in the spirit world. And then, unfortunately, she reveals herself, and then she has to work as kind of an indentured slave or something at this bathhouse in order to regain her name and her parents, because this whole place has been like taken over by some witch. And a lot of crazy things happen. A lot of spirit things is like incomprehensible to humans. She meets a young woman who is basically like acts like her older sister, and like pushes her to like work for, but she has a little bit of a soft spot for Chihiro, so she's actually kind of nice. And Chihiro does a lot of stuff that she's never done before, and she discovers an inner strength that she didn't know that she had. And she realizes the lengths that she will go to to realize her goals, to help people around her, and to be independent. And she really grows as a person. And then, well, I don't really want to spoil you, but at the end, it's kind of like she leaves with her parents. And then she leaves through the gate, and then you're not sure if she even remembers anything that happened in there. Like she knows that something isn't quite the same. And you see that what you thought were just like a couple of moments was actually like years and years, because there's moss on the rock where there wasn't moss on the way up. And it seems like the whole place is like has aged years. Well, she hasn't aged at all. And I don't know, I just find it really interesting. I think that it kind of reminds me of like my journey is a very cautious person who, you know, is very shy and usually doesn't do all of the grunt work and all of that. And Chihiro has to befriend a lot of people, and she has to do a lot of new tasks that she's never done before. And she kind of goes through like a boot camp kind of to get through all of this. And then she realizes that like she's the person for the job, and she does it. And she realizes that she has so much strength inside of her that she, like, you know, had never had the opportunity to show before. And that she can be the hero. And through her kindness, she can do a lot of good, but she can also do a lot of damage, because she helps. Well, she pitied, I think, the No Face, and then she gave him a lot of No Face's spirit that they have that has no face, right? But then he becomes a little bit. He takes advantage of that kindness. But then they end up, like, he ends up being good again, and he ends up traveling with her. And it's just so beautiful. There's a train that goes over water, like it's, like the tracks are basically soaked, and just the music is also beautiful. Joe Hisaishi, I think his name is. He's done such beautiful soundtracks, so kudos to him. So I really like Kiki's Delivery Service, both for the music and for the animation and for the story, the character development, all of that. I would say that Kiki's Delivery Service is another one of my close favorites. But Princess Mononoke has kind of grown on me. And I'm trying to get into Howl's Moving Castle, so I might have to rewatch to like kind of figure out what the hype is all about. Because I've watched it, but I was very confused about a lot of it, because the plot did not make sense, according to me. I was just like, I don't really understand the limitations of the magic in that world. Like, it doesn't, the film does not really explain what is going on, and at the same time it feels like nothing is going on, and then suddenly a tons of things are going on. And I love the soundtrack, I love the animation, but I don't understand the story. I know it's a little bit about love and such, but maybe it's just not relatable to me. I don't know. But I mean, Grave of the Fireflies is not relatable to me at all, and yet I cried puddles and puddles. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that I'll get any closer to understanding it by watching it one more time, but I'll try. Maybe you guys in the comments can tell me what you love about Miyazaki movies. If you've watched Miyazaki movies. Maybe those of you who responded other on my poll can tell me what your favorite film is and why. Because, I mean, I'm saying that this one is my favorite, but I have so many favorites, you know? They're all good in their own way. I mean, I think that I would rank Howl's Moving Castle #1 in terms of the aesthetics are extremely beautiful in that when the castle walks across the meadows. And also I really like the music. So I would place it quite high on that list if the story did not have to make sense. You know, I'm grading it on 3 criteria. And, you know, that's why Spirited Away gets #1. But otherwise, and Kiki is more of a quaint kind of story, but I think that it would win even more in terms of a storyline, like character development. Maybe there'd be like 4 criteria: music, aesthetics, plot, and character development. And maybe Kiki would earn highest in character development. But maybe it's just I haven't understood the Howl's Moving Castle story. If somebody can explain it to me, maybe I'll rewatch the movie and change my mind. Okay, so have a great day, everybody. Bye.